Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 6th episode of Weaving Myths Season 3. Weaving Myths is a podcast focused on tabletop role-playing games, and specifically playing them through the play-by-post format. I'm your host,
He's your host, Nathan. And
I swear, I can do this. I'm your host, Nathan, and joining me today is Amy.
Hi!
Colin.
Hello, everyone.
And Eric.
Good evening.
We are all staff or members of Mythweavers. Chibi Amy is a special guest joining us for the second episode in a row. One of the largest play-by-post gaming websites in existence, we are here to help bring your game to the next level. If you're not familiar with Mythweavers, you can find it at myth-weavers.com. As always, we are joined by the impeccable text chat, which members of Mythweavers are using right now to ask questions and contribute to the discussion. If you too would like to be part of the text chat, feel free to join us on the Mythweavers Twitch channel every Saturday that we feel like doing a show at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. This week, we're going to be talking about epic things. Whether it's a big story, a big battle, or big characters, it's time to go big or go home.
Epic.
A relic from the past making an appearance there.
It's not that old. It's relatively new. I haven't gotten a chance to play it yet, but my friend describes it as the designers wanted to get as close as they could to Magic without having a mana pool.
Okay. That's interesting.
But that's beside the point. Let's talk epic.
Epic.
So before we get started, a quick explanation of what we're looking to talk about with epic. When we refer to epic, there's a really good definition for it, and it's basically in traditional style, an epic is a long narrative poem written in an elevated style, meaning that they use fancy language and there's long-winded sections about how his hair blew in the wind that day. But usually the heroes of epics are very important to the history and legends of a certain location, world, whatever it is, as they perform various deeds. So the setting is usually vast in scope. It covers great nations, the world, even the entire universe in some epics. And the action that happens in the story is important to the history and shaping of the world. Or even just like the culture of a people or a nation. I mean, it's important to all those things. So that's kind of what we're aiming for when we say epic.
I mean, to me, an epic really has to change the world in some way, shape, or form. If you're not having an impact on the way some big group of people lives their lives, it's not really an epic. It doesn't necessarily have to cover a big amount of space. I mean, consider, say, the Iliad. It's pretty much focused around Troy. There's some other scenes that here and there are nearby, but that was a big deal because it changed the whole Greek and Asia Minor, course of events. So, epic.
There's also the odds that you're going up against as well that have to be epic. You can't, for sake of democracy or whatever, Greek democracy, they couldn't just vote in a new benevolent tyrant. That didn't actually change much. But with the Iliad, their gods and demigods have a stake in all this, and they are fighting these great odds. And
so, curious. Lord of the Rings. Epic?
it was certainly written to be epic, given that, he had studied a lot of epic poetry, Beowulf and stuff, in his studies of Anglo-Saxon culture and everything. So that was kind of the tradition.
And just consider the page upon page of describing the landscape and the travels, and he sets it with the high language of epic, even though it's not Robert Jordan epic or George R.R. Martin epic
or Brandon Sanderson epic.
Brandon Sanderson epic.
Right.
Yeah, an epic story doesn't have to be a story on an epic scale of War and Peace, which honestly, when you consider the epics that some modern writers have written, crams a whole lot of character development and events covering the course and events shaping a nation in 1,000 pages or so.
Mhm.
So it doesn't have to be wordy to be an epic.
Right.
Yeah, that's the thing. When does it get to be too much when these authors are trying to do an epic story? And the trend right now is more along the lines of the bigger the better, where like Tolkien with Lord of the Rings or Star Wars, which was just a trilogy, and it's gotten larger and larger and larger.
Story creep.
Yeah.
I feel like we could probably spend episode upon episode talking about that. But
I like this one character. I'm going to go tell his story that he did over there while this character was over there doing that thing. But I'll tell that.
Bumblebee, anybody?
I've heard that's the one that redeems things.
Okay, but
It's not directed by Bay.
Oh, well then it's fine.
I love how all three of you go, okay, maybe.
Okay, there's hope. There's hope here.
But that does bring us back to what we're talking about here, which is epic and play-by-post terms. What makes an epic play-by-post? If it's going to have a lot of words, it's going to, by necessity, cover a long period of real time. And that could be a challenge. We've already discussed that in at least several episodes so far. But certainly bears consideration for epic storytelling.
Yeah, for epic in play-by-post, I like the use that people have come up with finding like concept art that they're using, which shows these grand landscapes, or also putting in music that kind of builds, because it is such a mode of attrition, play-by-post, and who wants to sit down and write a novel just to describe where you're at when you're trying to keep your players interested?
So, in play-by-post, I don't know that I've ever seen this, but I do know that a common staple of like epic stories is to do a sort of recap every now and then. Have you guys ever done like a recap in play-by-post?
No. It's...
Go ahead, Colin.
I was just going to say, in my games, well, even when I get new players, typically they just go back and read. There's not typically a recap. But then again, I get the weird players that will read 2 years worth of, oh god, why is he GMing?
I have seen the prologues. I have seen, instead of doing an end of chapter recap, I have seen GMs who will do a quick prologue to catch new players up on the story, or even just to begin the play-by-post, and then when you get dropped in, everything kind of works out really well there.
I've done both. Part of that is that I still have several games that are, well, one of them just crossed the decade mark a couple months ago, and another couple which are in the 8 to 9 year time frame. Eventually, even the best players are going to forget what you as the GM consider key details to the plot. And so occasionally putting out that recap just to recenter everyone, kind of helps out with that.
Is that how that's supposed to work? I'm doing that backwards.
No,
Where do you get one of two
idea.
players with a fantastic memory going, oh, don't you remember this detail that you revealed to us in chapter 1? Oh, right, that detail. Yeah, totally.
Yes,
good memory.
I
Just testing you.
do. But yeah, that
The recap can help the GM too. Also, if you're not into a long-winded recap, it can help to keep a journal of events as you go. Just to run along, here's the things that the players did. Here's the key points they discovered, so they can go back and use that as their handy reference. It's a quicker read than 10 years worth of posts. If you're going to go bring in a new character.
Even just an outline of what happened. Just that quick journal. Here's your outline. We're going through.
Actually, I just thought about this, but so in most of my games, I do a rewards thread where I go for doing blank and blank and blank, you get X rewards. I think that is also a good way to keep a mini journal of what's going on. It's like, okay, the players did this and they got this reward. They did this and got this reward. So that is another way to do it, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. It also helps then when if you're in a game which requires advancement mechanics, somewhere where they can go reference how much experience am I supposed to have right now?
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's the chronology of it.
Right. What did I do to get to that experience level? Here's the
Right.
Which I've done nothing of this, by the way.
You're still learning.
Yeah.
We'll get you there.
Now I've been on the receiving end.
Another thing that an epic story, if it's a long epic in play-by-post terms, is going to have to deal with is character attrition, which we've also talked about in several episodes. But I think that the motifs of epic storytelling can actually help out in this regard because, go back to War and Peace, there's hundreds of characters in there, and the focus shifts from character to character to character to character. G.R.R. Martin, people who you thought were important protagonist type characters who get randomly killed off, the focus shifts to someone else. I mean, I don't advocate killing people off all the time, but on the other hand, it's one way with it you can get around the unavoidable character attrition problem. If you build your epic to say, this is my one focused protagonist and everyone else is kind of in a supporting role around them, and that person just ghosts on you, it can really ruin your game. So being able to shift the focus and talk about other people's stories, not just the one chosen one.
Well, it's also hard on the player, let alone any nutrition that happens. It's hard to feel that responsibility as a player. It's like, oh my gosh, I have to have something good every single post that I do, and I have to be brilliant right now, and I have to carry this. It's like, no, there's roleplay gaming is collaborative from the get-go. It always has been.
Unless you've got that player whose character isn't the brightest and will just monologue forever.
Oh god.
Fate.
I regret reading those posts. I regret reading them so badly. Oh my god.
So
Never again.
You say never again, but she's going to keep posting. For
Never-
those that
never again.
are not in the loop on this, call me Fate's character in my Stars Without Number game.
Okay, I gotta do this.
Oh,
I gotta
God.
pull this up. Let me see if this will actually work. It might. It might not.
Nathan's gone experimental.
Oh yeah.
Call Me Fate keeps the
Hey, it
game
works.
moving by threatening to monologue if it doesn't.
There we go. Let me just.
And that threat has worked on everyone.
Let's just. Yeah. I just want people to look at this. This is all. I'm not gonna leave this up for very long because I don't want people's heads to explode.
oh my gosh, that's brilliant.
Yeah. So.
And for those of you looking at it going, oh my god, it's a run-on, and she didn't break it up by paragraphs, no, that's intentional.
Yep.
Because you read it as someone just rambling incessantly.
Yep. Here's another one.
Well, we could spend a whole episode just on Call Me Fate posts, but
Oh god, yes we could.
I think
The
there's
next
nope,
episode?
I think those are the only two at the moment.
Oh no, there are pages upon pages of those.
all right.
She spent easily a couple hundred words with her character contemplating how nice the bulkheads, deck, and overhead of a passageway were.
Yes.
This
Without
is how you win.
Without
at Nano
repeating
Remo.
herself. If you're playing a character that's not bright, being able to play him that well is magnificent and torturous for the game master. Oh my god.
Well
I think
done.
so.
Well
We can have an epic play-by-post game without having to be story on an epic scale of extreme, length and verbosity.
It can be epic scenes.
Right.
Or like the Adventure Paths, or Adventures League, or Pathfinder Society. Those do tend to be world changing.
Right. I mean, if you look at many epic tales, there are ordinary people who turn out to be heroic because they were in the right place at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
Those are who your PCs are. So if you just want to have an epic story that talks about the turning of the tide, you put them in the right place at the right time and push the go button.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the epics, the hero slayed this mighty beast when it looked like all hope was lost. Yeah, they rolled a critical hit.
Yeah.
Yep.
And by the way,
Or the mighty beast seemed about to slay them. Made their saving throw.
yeah, and they didn't. That hero didn't have a name before that event happened. By the way, they were just generic human barbarian number 13.
Actually,
Well, I mean,
Carl.
I actually had that happen in my real life game where the party was going on an adventure doing whatever, and they were accompanied by a couple local city guards. And that city guard, one of them, he was guard number 4 until he critical hit one of the enemies they were fighting and basically ended the combat. So he was guard number 4 until he became a hero.
You, young red shirt, have earned a name now.
Exactly.
Yeah, you won't be killed in one shot just to show how badass the enemy is.
or
take
as Tiffany Corda points out, Grok number 13.
Grok is what Grok does.
Oh, Nathan, that's never going to go away. It's become less, but Grok is part
Grok
of
is legend.
ever since you made a character sheet.
They give him a name.
I actually don't know if I have that character sheet anymore.
It's around here somewhere, I'm sure.
You linked it.
I did. I don't know where or when.
Someone has saved that sheet. It's on one of the backups.
Oh, yes.
For all posterity to see. Congratulations.
Corporal Redshirt Amy.
It's a name. It's a rank. He's not going to die now.
Speaking
so-
of military ranks,
Oh boy.
that's a great segue into our next topic, which is epic battles. So, I guess with epic battles, where do you even start with that sort of thing? Like, obviously, if we look at traditional examples, you look at things like the Battle of Helm's Deep, or help me out with some examples.
Wow. You fumbled
Any-
there
any-
real quick.
Waterloo.
Okay, Waterloo.
Yeah, Waterloo, or you get
Gettysburg?
the really small
Yeah,
Warhammer.
maybe.
Warhammer.
Scholar.
Yeah, I mean, where you're taking hundreds of ships and the Death Star 2. Hi, Marlena. The Death Star 2 is a good one.
Priorities. Nice, Merlana.
Dang it.
I
Good thing-
could have gone for the whole bottle.
Good thing I moved the bottle closer to the glass.
Actually, hell, a great example. Wait, was it Waterloo, British versus French?
Yes.
Yeah,
well, it
and
was
Napoleon
technically the army of the
attacked.
6th Coalition, but, the Brits were in it for.
It's Napoleon. It was everybody against.
No, this
France.
was before Napoleon.
That would
Runner
be
blank. Outnumbered English, they chose boggy terrain.
Oh, that
Yeah.
was that was in England.
Or was
I
that
thought that was in France. I
Charge of
thought
the
they were
Light
still on
Brigade?
campaign.
It was.
No, it wasn't Charge of the Light Brigade. The English won because they were severely outnumbered, but they chose marshy ground.
Yes, and they forced the French
Henry
to
the
come up
Fifth?
a very narrow channel where they could just pepper them with arrows.
Yep. And I don't remember the name of the battle. It was medieval period.
Was it one of Henry V in France?
Mm,
St. Crispin's Day.
no, it wasn't St. Crispin's Day. I mean, it was. God, it was a brilliant use of tactics because they got heavy cavalry wiped out by archers with hatchets. Like, they just waited for the horses and knights to bog down and just waded in without armor and hacked them up. Thank you.
William de Bruce
Unspeakable got it.
versus-
Angicourt. Thank you,
Which is-
Unspeakable.
Sorry, I was just a little slow in getting to Agincourt, but yeah, it was Agincourt.
Oh, we were
there's a whole
both slow.
song tune to it. It's great, epic.
Ha!
Yes,
I was
epic.
right. St. Crispin's Day. It was Henry V.
Okay. So where do you even start with
We
an
have to
epic
put
battle?
that history to use. Oh, sorry.
That's okay. So where do you even start with a battle like that? Like, you gotta have some context for the battle, obviously, but like, once you get into the actual running of the battle,
Skittles.
Um,
You use little Skittles for each regiment.
Let's
well,
let's consider that Dungeons and Dragons was made by a bunch of guys who originally were really, really into wargaming.
mm-hmm.
They didn't just say, let's take those wargaming rules and apply them to single character action. They said, let's create a set of rules that is like the wargaming rules, but works for just one people. So the reverse is also true. You can't just take the rules that we have come to know and love for role-playing games and say, let me just scale this up to a 10,000 person action.
right?
Your wrist will die trying to make all of the rolls that are needed.
Well, and Tiffany Corda actually already brought up where I was about to head. Stealing my thunder again. Pointing out small fights amongst a bigger battle. And actually, one of, I think, the better approaches to that is, I don't remember if it was a 3rd or 3.5 edition supplement, Heroes of Battle. Which
That was 3.5.
Okay, yeah, and that one is all about how do you take your characters and throw them in a war. And it was small fights, big battles. So it was, instead of, oh, your characters, they're player characters, they're heroes. Like, the heroes don't get shoved out on the front line typically. So the big points of the book, there's good ideas they had, there's bad ideas they had, but one of the big ones is treat the players more like a commando unit.
Mm-hmm.
They're
I mean,
not on the front line, they're going after strategic objectives.
Right, but I mean, a frontline strategic objective might be defending this salient against all costs because we can't afford to lose
Right.
here. Or riding out to challenge the enemy commander to single combat, which was an actual tactic that worked in war
Sometimes.
when you won.
For play by post an idea, each player character gets a squadron or a command of their own,
Mhm.
and so you break it up to different folders. What we did once at a tabletop convention, we had 2 people who were basically running the whole show, and you had each individual table and everything. And Joe over there cast Meteor Strike and nearly sucked the boat that this table over here was on, but you kind of disperse it and have that sort of thing. Kind of, you got to have stuff going on that affects over there and affects this person and kind of brings it all together.
Then you've got some systems even have rules built in where you already have a squad. And I'm going to regret saying this because it's going to bite me in the ass. Planet Mercenary. Yeah, you guys know this is going to come back because some of my players are going to come back and go, hey, you mentioned that again.
Oh yeah.
What happened to our
Run,
game,
run.
GM?
But it does have, in those rules, every player is an officer and has a fire team. Shut up, Landon.
Weaving Myths is a small community, but we all love each other very much.
Oh yeah.
Landed, I can't start it again. I don't have time. Landed's one of my players that was hurt deeply when I said, hey guys, I don't have time to run 2 games. Planet Mercenary is the one getting the axe.
Bum, bum, bum.
Honestly, a good chunk of it was because Planet Mercenary requires a lot more planning. Whereas Stars Without Number is made to be a sandbox, and I just wing that a lot. I mean, I carefully plan every detail.
Do you now?
In-depth encounters.
Hmm.
The problem is sometimes some of my players, like the engineer, just doesn't post for like 3 weeks.
I'm getting
Nathan,
better
who
about
plays
that.
the engineer again?
I'm getting better at
Gets
that.
married.
I was busy this year. I had a lot going on.
Alright,
No,
anyway,
no,
back to
that's not
battle,
enough
epic
going.
scale.
Yeah. So you obviously can't ignore everything that is going on outside the player's immediate vicinity. It's got to happen in order for the epicness to
Mm-hmm.
play out, to be something that they can see going on around them, that they feel like they're in the middle of this gigantic conflict. But it also can't be something the GM spends so much time dealing with all the details. So you have to have some sort of system that helps you scale that to a manageable amount.
If you're running spreadsheets and need a laptop, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome, but you're doing it wrong.
I mean, you can spend a lot of effort
Oh, God,
going
yes,
into
you
the
can.
strategic system modeling. There are people who do PhD theses. If you're really into this, go get your PhD in it, because it'll be far more rewarding than doing it for 4 or 5 people who really don't care what's going on with random elven pikemen number 14 over there on the right flank when we're over here on the left flank. They just don't.
Yeah, the pikemen don't actually domino. That just happens in cartoons.
And in Mel Brooks movies.
Well,
Yes.
you know.
But so you need a system that scales. There are systems out there for wargaming. Some of them are better than others, and I don't think that I'm really qualified to give you a great recommendation on wargaming because I didn't do a
No.
lot of it.
Ditto.
But I do play a lot of strategic video games, and one of the simple systems that I've seen is one called Warlords, which is an old, like 1990s era. Yeah, Amy knows what I'm talking about here.
You're both old. We
My
get it.
college years. I know.
Top-down, simple, not real-time turn-based strategy game. And its engine is basically roll 1d10 for each side, add up the various bonuses that they get, whether it's terrain or fortifications or a hero being on their team or a spellcaster or something, and just compare those numbers, and the biggest number wins. That's something that can easily be scaled because, okay, the more people you have on your side, just compare the relative ratios of, do I have twice as many troops, 4 times as many troops, increase your bonus, a little bit to reflect that. And then you're down to like 1 or 2 rolls determines everything that happens over here on this entire wing of the battle.
Mm-hmm.
It's simple. It doesn't have to be an instantaneous. You can't just say, oh, this army completely wipes out the other army in 1 turn. Probably not
Keeps
going to
you
happen.
sane.
But it gives you the direction and can allow you to describe in your own epic language what's going on to the PC's right as they're having a dangerous fight over this hill. Simple, easy. I like it. Your mileage may vary.
Well, I think it's a good idea with epic battles. Like I mentioned earlier, treat them like a commando group where applicable. Have flowcharts are wonderful things. So here's a battle uses what they call victory points. You can use something similar. You can just kind of go with what feels right. But have it set up, the PC's actions help their side, but they're not guaranteed to necessarily win.
There has to be that tension, like in all storytelling. There has to be that doubt that
Well,
you're
and
gonna
in the battle, the PCs can still be on the losing side. That's the point. It's a battle. the PCs can make a lot of things happen that aid their side and might help them win the battle. But it's more like dealing with objectives. The players, I'd argue, shouldn't necessarily be able to complete all the objectives.
Right. And a good way to do that, obviously, is make them time sensitive. So, like, we have to hold this thing right now, or this section of the battle is lost.
Well,
Or
by the same token, if you give them a few... So if you don't give them necessarily one objective,
Right.
if you give them a few options, you can slide in the time sensitive, but also maybe some of those objectives are more heavily defended. And I'm one of those game masters that's a huge proponent of making sure the players understand, yeah, you're tough, you're heroes. I'm not going to make every situation winnable.
Right.
It's like you're
or the hard decision. You know,
You're not
Yep.
immortal.
what morals are you going to drop in the middle of battle? Like every.
well, and then you can give 2 important objectives and
Not given the manpower to cover both.
well, a great example was I liked one of the earlier examples for video games was the Mass Effect series where they said, you know, you can rescue one of 2 people. Make your choice.
Mhm.
That was a good one. I liked that one.
I just pretend the end of that trilogy didn't happen, and I'm happy that way.
Here's your Kobayashi Maru. Which choice are you going to make?
Well, Kobayashi Maru was unwinnable, period. This is more like choose who lives and dies.
Mhm.
Which
That can
many
be a
people
difficult choice to make for
don't wanna-
people.
Well, and then
Yeah.
you can also have, I mean, if you're doing something where your players have command of squads, giving a scenario where you can win it, but you're going to have to intentionally choose who's going to be sacrificed.
You guys over there,
Congratulations,
charge
Corporal
this hill.
Redshirt. I need you to
Mhm.
do this. Yeah.
Yep.
And you're going to die.
I mean, a lot of it isn't just the battle, it's pulling in the moral quandaries. It's finding a way to kind of incorporate the emotion. Because your player characters aren't going to be the general on the hill at the back, they're going to be in the thick of it. So there should be moral dilemmas. You know, they're right there. They're looking someone in the eye going, hey, you and your squad charge that hill, like Amy said.
Well, emotion in role playing games, period, gets players invested, and you need to throw these things at them. That is what everybody's like, oh, I remember when we had to make this choice. Oh my gosh, it was so hard.
Well, and then there's, of course, there are situations where you wind up with the player that's just a straight up sociopath and will just go, I'm gonna need these ones more later, sacrifice these ones. My wife. Well, everyone else is debating how to handle the... Oh, well, everyone else in the party is debating, oh, the child got bitten by a zombie. How are we going to handle this? The mother's
Don't-
right there, and my wife just went, I shoot the kid.
Hey,
With the mother, and she
run
goes,
away and
it's the... Oh, no, she didn't bother with that part. Just, oh, bitten, gonna turn, pop.
don't have time to debate this. It's gonna bite us, so just
Hey.
kill it.
That actually was the nail in the coffin for that gaming group.
Star Trek.
Oh, I didn't really have a great choice of players. It was kind of... Military law enforcement doesn't have many geeks.
So, I do also want to note that, as with any battle, 99% of battles are not fought to the death. Like,
True.
probably 99.9 repeating percent are not fought to the death.
Yeah.
Unless
no
it's
one has
Marines.
infinite ability to withstand deadly
Marines.
onslaught on all sides.
Marines. Which
Yeah.
example do you want me to pull out, Eric?
Okay, they've done
Certain
Plenty of
fanatical individuals or groups are known to do the hold against all costs down to the last man.
Yes.
Most battles, there's retreat.
Most battles don't
and
go that way.
Morale, even if it's not an ordered retreat, morale breaks, and once a couple start running, everyone starts running. Hi, Merlana.
House cleaning.
Mm.
Joy. I avoid that when I can.
So I'm curious, when you're designing a battle, how much planning do you really need to put into it? Because like obviously you want it to fit cohesively with the story and you want one side to win or lose. But within that, how do you plan for each, like, I guess beat, like story beat? Like, how do you plan for each of those? Do you just have a list of things and you're like, I'll do this one now? Or do you have, like, no, the battle's going to progress in these steps?
I flowchart it.
Okay.
I don't say, this side is going to win. I don't
Right.
choose who's going to win. I approach it as, like, the army that the players are part of. Here's how they win, here's how they lose, and the actions of, like I said, I like the commando route. So the actions of the players, and it's always time sensitive, are going to influence their army's ability to win.
Right.
I mean, if it's something plotted out where the Allied army is going to win anyway, it's
not
pretty
a
much
role-playing game anymore.
Yeah,
It's a novel telling.
Let's face it, you're dealing with player characters, you're dealing with people playing a role-playing game. They like being the underdogs. If you're just rolling over the enemy forces without opposition, you're not really playing anything. That's the game master just letting you talk while you win.
Mm-hmm.
Here you go. Here's your win on a platter with some cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've already gone over the fallacies of GMing, which includes just monologuing, and that's basically what this would be, is I'm going to write a big, long narrative about how this army is so awesome and wins the day. And you guys can be there or not. We really don't care.
Mm-hmm. Attack these objectives, but we're confident of our victory regardless. You're not fighting then.
Right.
No, you got to have that tension, that doubt. You got to make them work.
But having the ability to surrender or to retreat, to fight another day, is an important part of that, and one of those things that is hard to model correctly in a strict role-playing game sense.
Well, if the army starts to break, hopefully your players see that and go, "Oh, we can't stay here."
Well, yeah, but
hopefully,
yeah. If you're just like talking strict movement rate type things, you could argue that by the rules as written, there's no way they could outrun their pursuers.
Another important thing, though, too, is if you're designing around here's the various things that can happen that the players can influence, the beginnings of a route can be a situation. And your characters, your players, can actually be the ones, if they see people starting to retreat, starting to fall back, they can be the ones running in, roaring to go forward and leading by example.
Here comes the bard.
So that's not saying that if a route begins and a retreat starts that, that should be, your players have to retreat. That could be a planned scenario. Oh, this flank is starting to crumble, and your players could look at that and go, we got to get in there.
Or your players could be typical players where it's like, oh, we got to get in there, or we could just rush the bomb.
Well, it's hard to rush the enemy general when they're way back on a hill behind hundreds and hundreds of bodies. Another important thing, too, if you're dealing with fantasy especially, You're planning epic battles, especially, oh god, Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons has artillery.
They're called mages.
Yep.
I mean, this isn't so. I mean, it's really important to actually think about that. You've got wizards, and even level 1 wizards can raise absolute hell. You gotta kind of consider that with the high fantasy systems.
Yeah.
Trench warfare is probably going to be a little more likely. Like, armies openly meeting in the field? Maybe.
Till someone drops a glitter dust on them.
I mean, that's one of those. It's one of those things, because, you know, if you look at it, high fantasy settings, Burning Hand spell, it's a bloody flamethrower.
Mm-hmm.
Straight up. I mean, that is. So you've got. And that's one of the things that. Magic missile, fireballs are artillery.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's one of those things, you know, that with high fantasy, you always see a lot of portrayal. Yes, there's shield spells, but there don't seem to be as many area shield spells as there seem to be area destroy everything in the circle spells.
Mm-hmm.
That's
This is way more fun. Just ask my wife.
To research.
So it is something to keep in mind. You know, you look at something like Lord of the Rings. Okay, that's not a super high magic setting. If you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, it's not going to be Lord of the Rings, you know, rank upon rank marching into battle. That's 6
Suicide.
fireballs away from we destroyed an entire regiment. It's worth considering. You know, high fantasy settings, depending on the setting, to be fair, you know, I haven't delved into Pathfinder a whole lot. I know there's a lot of other high fantasy settings, but D&D at least, you're looking more like trench warfare.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking more World War One versus water.
There are wizard spells that do poison gas.
Mm-hmm.
You are high fantasy World War I trench warfare.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Unless you're in Eberron, you don't have armor.
Right.
And by armor, I mean tanks.
Right.
Yeah, no.
Warforged,
But
humanoid tank.
yeah,
Or
now
Iron Kingdom.
you start to go into the Magitech side, and okay, maybe you do have tanks, and then you're more like World War II type.
Yep.
high fantasy.
Oh,
Or like Iron Kingdoms, where you have literal mechs walking around, powered by
Yeah,
magic.
I like that one too.
But yeah, that's a really big thing to consider with the high fantasy settings, because wizards are artillery units, which actually lines up well with real world artillery units. They cause a lot of damage, but they're squishy.
Yeah, you gotta protect those guys.
Yeah, yeah.
Counter battery fire doesn't end well for them when they're hit.
All right, so I think we've got one more point to hit real quick. How do you handle when the players do decide, hey, there's the big bad evil guy, let's go take him on? Like, obviously you're in a battle, so there's bodies between you and the bad guy, but how do you handle how they affect the battle when they decide that is their only goal?
First of all, recharge with the light brigade. And then you know how to counter it.
Or 300.
I mean, okay, cool. There's the big bad evil guy. You have to go through how many hundred bodies to do it? And I mean, it's not one of those things where, oh, I only have to go through 4 or 5 rows of people. No, they're going to see that come and start reinforcing and mob.
Yeah, but
It's possible they can get to them.
let's go back to English Civil War type territory. There were king versus king struggles where they actually
True.
met on the battlefield. So it can happen. It might not have been their objective, but the battle tide might have swept them to a point where the enemy flag is in sight and the Lich commander is there, meteor swarming regiment upon regiment, but you're in a position to maybe go engage him now.
Yeah, so I'm the almighty king, but you know what? I'm just kind of a peon, so here's my champion, a 19th level wizard. Good luck.
That brings up an interesting topic for possibly another time, but of note, the king is most likely not the highest level character in the hierarchy of that nation's army.
Oh, no.
No, it's his knights or his generals. Or it's people that actually do this stuff. The king's just like, I'm good at ruling and sitting here, pretty much.
It could be a 19th level aristocrat.
Booyah! Rolled up bureaucracy. See how well you do.
All right,
All right.
so I think we have time for it. So we were not sure if we were going to have time for this, but I do also want to take a couple minutes to talk about epic characters. So I think this is new territory for the show, where we're going to talk about, normally we talk about like starting a campaign, the middle of a campaign, like running it, keeping it running, but let's talk about when the characters become epic level. Like we're going above level 20, we're going into level 30 and above, like we suddenly can alter reality, we're becoming demigods. How do we handle characters like that?
A big
Start a
chunk.
new-
Go ahead, Annie.
I used to say start a new campaign.
Well, yeah, some players like to play at that high power level. I think there's two big factors here. One is, what's their motivation to keep playing at that level? There has to be something going on that interests them other than just settling down and ruling their kingdom until they, roll and die or turn into a lich or whatever. But you've got to have a motivation for them to do what it is that they do, or else they're just going to be as bored as the level ones who sit in the tavern, not having any motivation to go out other than to drink.
Oh, Eric, they're the level 30s then, sitting in a tavern drinking.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah,
No,
we're
they're
not
the level
arguing that
30s
point. I
that
think
have bought the tavern.
this is my tavern. I drink at it.
They're level 5s that have bought the tavern.
That's yeah. I own a whole city full of taverns, and I drink at whichever one I want.
I see an
Or
Amy
free.
husband.
No, actually, that was the oldest one.
Oh, all I saw was a back, so.
We
So-
kind of built the office off of his bedroom. So he has
Motivation
to-
is one factor. The second factor is, what's an appropriate challenge for someone of that power level? Because if you can alter reality, in theory, so can your opponents.
Mhm.
Yep.
And how are they going to make your life difficult in a way that you can actually affect back? If they really don't like you, they're going to start researching spells like teleport you into the middle of the negative energy plane, just for fun.
Genocide.
There's that too. And I think that goes back to the epic storytelling to some degree, is that you have to get the players caring about more than just themselves. Their characters should be caring about the world, the universe that they live in, such that when it's threatened, that their immediate reaction is to go jump in and try and save things. They may not be the ones who are immediately being put under threat because, well, if you're a big bad evil guy, it's a lot easier to go intimidate a bunch of level. Oh, very nice, Amy. Once again, I'm beaten out by the props. Here I am.
No, I'm
on
just
one
saying,
way, and Amy drops
Here's
down.
here's your epic. You
I'm
need
level
epic
30.
character
What do
to
we do?
Right.
The
The-
old
the
ones
point-
works.
The point is that thing isn't going to go after your level 30 character as their first primary objective.
No,
They're
it's when
gonna-
the level 30 character says, we should do something about this, and pokes it.
Right. Then you have conflict. Before then, you need to create scenarios that invite the players to make a difference, to rise to the epic challenge. Don't just challenge them with a scry and die. Oh, a great old one shows up in your tavern and starts wailing on you. It's probably not nearly as much fun. They're certainly not as good storytelling.
Right.
Yeah, just some epic level big bad evil guy starts planning their thing, and it starts to have an effect on what the players care about.
You're altering my reality.
Yeah, you don't
Stop
have
it. I don't like
to
that.
you don't have to plot hook at that point. You just have to go and kick over your player's little sandcastle. Because they're level 30, they have a sandcastle, and you can kick it.
It might actually be a literal sandcastle, and they're like, "Hey."
Knowing some of my players, unspeakable. That could happen. Actually, Unspeakable's not the terror for once.
You know,
Call me Fate as the terror.
you know, I actually watched a video on YouTube about One Punch Man and how that anime is almost literally the epic level RPG character problem summed up in a nicely wrapped story. And
Yeah.
I'll have to see if I can find the video, but it sums up my thoughts on that topic very well. I'll have to see if I can find it. Very good anime, highly recommended. Watch it with the context that the main character is a high-level RPG character.
Yeah.
No, that makes a lot of sense if you look at it that way. But yeah, it's good. It's hysterical.
Okay, so just for fun, let's do this real quick.
Oh god.
If you were to throw a bad guy at your level 30 party, what would you throw at them?
Tarrasque.
Easy.
That's only
They-
level 20.
They can't kill it. The rules state you can't kill it.
I mean,
And you
Yeah,
can
but you
tweak
could-
things. How do you
can
deal with
tap it
something
in a
you can't
pocket
kill?
dimension. Throw it in a pocket dimension if you're that
Teleport
high.
it to
Tweak
the
the
negative energy
monster.
plane.
Tweak the monster.
I mean, you get going back to motivation. You also have to make it so that it's fair,
Mhm.
and this goes back to something we've I think talked about before, certainly at the lower levels, which is making sure that you tailor your opposition to the character so that they have a fair chance to win, but that it's not necessarily that any tool in their toolbox is going to do the job. They have to figure out the right tool for the job.
And this is where you and I differ on that point, Eric, because I quite often throw unwinnable scenarios at the players, and the only way to win is to not get involved.
Okay, but
No,
generally,
at level 30, that's different. At level 30, you've got, if we don't do something, the world ends.
yeah. Well, and
The great old one, the aliens, the whatever, win.
right, yeah. But I don't think I was necessarily saying that you have to give them winnable scenarios. But if you are going to give them an appropriate challenge, don't just say, "Hey, let me go read every spell on the wizard's character sheet and have a counter for every single one already in my back pocket, so that
Right.
the wizard I just neutralize entirely." That's not going to be fun for the wizard. So you got to give the wizard some ability to affect the state of play. I mean,
I like what Tiffany Cordis pointed out, saying, discourage the straight punchy.
yes, that is the point that I was trying to go after. Is that you can't just say, "Well, I'll drop a fireball on it and walk away." That generally ends up being a less than satisfying encounter design. Just ask my wife.
Well, no, it was immensely satisfying.
Oh,
It was just like 2 hours.
Yeah, one spell kill. Not-
I was not expecting a one spell kill,
Anyhow,
but it was gratifying because I've never soloed a Hydra before.
No, I don't
Coming
blame you at all.
soon.
I don't blame
Coming
you.
soon. There will be a Spouses of Mythweavers episode.
Absolutely.
That's
Me
coming.
and I get my husband on instead of me.
Ooh.
Yeah.
We still need you
I
to
don't know
show
if
right.
he'd do it, but yeah.
We still need you to show right.
Well, yeah, totally.
Amy's our show writer. We'd be lost without her by this point. We ran out of good topics.
Oh yeah, we sure did. Amy's keeping us
guess
afloat.
not good topics. We ran out of easy topics.
That's true.
Well, we've got a long list of not easy topics. Yeah, it's far more easy to throw together a Weaving Mistas tabletop.
That's true.
Coming soon.
I
Oh,
can't wait for that all out of bubblegum episode, by the way.
That's going to be good.
Oh god, we're gonna be. I mean, we're not gonna be plastered at all. We're on Twitch.
Maybe your won't be.
No.
I mean, to
Alright.
be fair, Nathan, one beer and off you go.
What? What?
Oh my.
That sounds like a challenge.
Are you asking for a challenge?
If anyone wants to know what Nathan sounds like a wee bit tipsy, go to the one where Rodrigo guest starred.
You're not wrong.
Oh, he pre-gamed to hell and gone once I told him Rodrigo was joining us.
I mean, yeah.
You just had to prepare for the sexiness of that man's voice.
Mmm. Rodrigo has a hell of a set of pipes on him.
Epic.
That's why he does music.
Okay.
Mhm.
Do we want to take a quick 5-minute break?
I don't care.
I'm out.
I'm
of drink.
good.
Amy, you pointed it out in the team chat. You might as well bring up what was said in the Weaving Myths chat.
Lexan is waiting for the campaign where the Weaving Mist team is the ultimate in-game baddies because they've already thought up all of the counters and everything, and that would be Eric. There's your challenge. Throw them at themselves.
Okay, I need a refill on drink, so 5 minutes.
Yep.
For those of you watching on Twitch, we'll be back in just a couple minutes. For those of you watching on YouTube, you can just skip ahead a few minutes. We'll be back.
If I go fast enough, we can talk about things
Oh, God.
before Nathan is back.
Oh, this is the best times.
Okay.
Run, Nathan, run.
Huh. Everyone else is slow. Hello, text chat. Maybe hello, text chat. Hey, there we go. We've upgraded from beer. Hello-eyed white tiger. Oh, thank God, unspeakable. Thank God. Hey, Eric's back.
Yeah, so you're too busy to run a game, or are you too busy to participate in a game?
Yeah, pretty much. I've actually had to back out of participating in 2 games.
Oh,
Call Me Fate starts with that number game, which I'm still getting hell about, and Nathan's... Oh, what was the name of that game? Nathan's Wickmouth game, which I'm also getting hell about.
All right, I won't bug you.
To be fair,
you're starting a new game?
Not yet.
I told Alex that, if they ran short a body, I could definitely step in. And then I kind of got really busy and couldn't actually step in. So to be fair, I kind of said I couldn't, then couldn't.
Mhm.
Oh,
Sorry, they had pulled a cheese ball out. I'm a sucker for those things.
Tiger, no, I don't remember who you are. Because I'm terrible with names when we haven't done Weaving Myths regularly. And, well, we haven't been. We're starting to get more regular.
Yeah.
Now that
be
we got
complete
someone that's
accident.
Now that someone's better at topic creation and all that, we have a chance to get back on track.
Back on track of what? What are we talking about?
Oh, bloody hell.
It's Mrs. Nate.
It's Mrs. Nate. I'm still happy she sent me all the pictures their photographer took of me.
Oh, how nice of her.
The fact that I appeared in 6 official wedding photographer pictures is actually kind of bad.
Uh-oh.
Everyone else was not very interesting, Colin.
Mm-hmm.
It's the thing now. It really is.
I mean, I didn't realize there were that many until she hit me up on Discord and went, "Did you pay off my photographer or something?"
I don't know what he was doing.
Well, yes, you did.
I didn't pay off anyone. I just look magnificent.
Yeah, you didn't even pay off the DJ.
Oh no, the DJ we made laugh. That's completely different. The worst part, Nathan wasn't even in the bloody room.
That's too
That's
bad.
like a party foul for a groom.
Oh
You know,
my god, it made me sad. Jem wasn't in the room either, but she heard it coming back from the bathroom and sprinted in to get on the dance floor. So, backstory for everyone that obviously wasn't there. The DJ at Nathan's wedding said that if at any point the dance floor was empty, he was going to play Christmas music the rest of the time. And this was
June?
November?
Was it November?
Not that
No,
late.
no,
September.
no.
No.
Yeah,
September.
Late
September.
September.
So, late September, he said if the dance floor empties, I'm playing Christmas music. Well, Nathan unwisely put Jem and me at a table with a bunch of his buddies who actually, all but one happened to also be from Michigan. So we, of course, all instantly bonded, and all of us committed to being the table. Like, when you're at a wedding, everyone goes, "Oh God, that table again." We committed to being that table. So,
Or the table you want to be at. One.
Nathan and Mrs. Nate stated, outright, they told their DJ, do not take requests because they're boring like that. And our entire table went up and requested, well, they came up with the idea to ask for Jingle Bell Rock and then threw me out to do the actual request. But it made the DJ laugh, so he actually put on Jingle Bell Rock.
Well done.
Well, everyone else looked around in confusion. Our entire table was out on the dance floor acting like the drunk idiots we were. It was fun.
Score!
I don't think, unless Mrs. Nate finds pictures of that, I don't even think there are pictures of that. All the pictures are when I was only on my 3rd or 4th drink.
This was what, 10 in?
I was going straight liquor, so no, it wasn't 10 in. I don't do that anymore.
Oh. Ow. Yeah, that's what he said.
Football commentary has to stop. Nate's back.
We don't care so much about Nate now because we've got Mrs. Nate in text chat, so that's way better.
He didn't even hear you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know he didn't even hear me. That's the great thing.
But it's on the Twitch recording.
I know it's on the recording. He's going to hear the recording and go, wait!
Yeah,
It'll be good.
that's pretty much it.
Oh, God, if I had a quarter for every time you said that, I'd be a millionaire.
Your wife approved with an evil laugh, for what it's worth.
Yeah, your wife's in the text chat commenting. Anarchy! You know the terrifying thing. Think about what happens putting her and Merlana and Jem and Amy's husband's probably going to be run into the ground pretty quick, but yeah, just those 3 alone is going to be terrifying.
Something weird happened.
Leggy. Oh,
Uh-oh.
Amy's video dropped. Amy's video is back.
No, I think it's just coming back, actually.
I think it's Discord.
Yeah, Discord is having a conniption at the moment.
No, we need to get the next segment.
Hmm.
Or we can talk more about Nathan. That's fine by me too.
Nope, it's really...
Uh-oh.
Is Discord running on CenturyLink?
No, we're using Comcast.
No, this is widespread.
Is it?
Yeah, because I've got lag from all 3 of you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm likewise getting lag from all 3 of you in various spurts.
Yeah, I just went video connection at 1, but...
Is it back?
It looks like we just got back up.
Hey, there we go.
All right. That's okay.
Technical difficulties that were not made for once.
It wouldn't be an episode of Weaving Myths if we didn't have technical difficulties.
That's true.
I don't have Ruben's sign.
All right, let's do some scripts.
Scripts,
Yay. All right, this week's game of the week is Silver City Sojourn, being run by Chase. Silver City Sojourn is a classic World of Darkness game using the Werewolf the Apocalypse variant and the 20th anniversary edition of the rules. If that's not a system, I don't know what is. We've talked about World of Darkness several times on the show, and every time it's been nothing but positive. The system takes well to play by post and allows for fantastically creative and deep stories for both characters and the world. Speaking of deep stories, Chase has laid the groundwork for just such a game. To quote Chase, "I love telling stories of struggles and overcoming obstacles. My goal is to tell a great story, but I don't want to do that at the cost of the enjoyment of the players. To that end, Silver City Sojourn is a gritty, dark, and challenging experience designed to test the player's ability to make choices and overcome great obstacles. Chase is looking for 8 players, and applications close on January 11th, so be sure to get those applications in swiftly.
Do you
Have
have
any of you gamed with Chase before?
Yes, I do regularly.
Okay, how's that going?
I love Chase. That's actually Lexan in there. Played a Star Wars game and really good at collaborating and awesome backstory. And yeah, I like it.
Awesome, good.
Do you have the post, bud?
Oh, I do. Yeah. Oh my God. Thank you. I do. I have it ready to go and everything. Here we go. Oh, nope, that's not the right one. Here we go. Okay. Silver City Sojourn. So
Remember when you prepared for the past hour before the show started?
You know what?
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
So it's a pretty. I actually really like this divider thing. I like when people do these little dividers.
You're welcome. I found it actually.
Oh, did you? But yeah, there's tons of information here. All the important information. There's a decently long in-character little backstory blurb, and description of the game, character creation, all the different links. I mean, this is a pretty good ad as far as Mythweavers goes, for sure.
Pretty good, he says. With that subtle, critical, and judgmental tone.
What?
Pretty soon, Nathan will have a rubric for grading ads,
Oh,
and then we'll be done.
no. Eric,
Will it
you
level
say
up?
that like it's still pending. This is Nathan we're talking about. There's
I have not
already a
seen the
Dread
checklist.
rubric for ad grading.
If the checklist was there, he would have posted it somewhere already for all of us.
I'd like to point out he's not saying anything.
I don't have a rubric for ads.
Oh, sure, you argue it when I put you on
Yeah.
the spot.
Character applications, ads, they're all the same, right?
I really need to just have a standby link for the Dread rubric.
It's really not
Just
that
so
bad.
whenever it comes...
It's really not that bad.
Says the person doing the judging, not applying.
It's really not that bad.
Unless you're a 21 out of 25, and you're watching everyone else get judged for the next 3 weeks, and oh man, there's another 21, and oh shit, it's gonna come down to Nathan rolling 1d2.
Did you ever see my application for his Starfinder game?
No.
It was a beautiful, not a 25. It was a beautiful application. And then there was another application I did for Dungeon World, which the description was bad love poetry.
The
I
bad
got a
love poetry
23 on
scored
that one.
higher, didn't it?
No.
So, if you couldn't tell, we're in the free-for-all segment of the show now. So, once again, the free-for-all segment of the show is back again. In this segment of the show, we're going to open the floor for questions and answers, but we're also going to allow myself and my fellow casters to talk about anything we'd like. As always, this is going to be pretty unstructured. Colin?
Straight Nathan roast. Got it.
This
Buddy.
is where we get to take free shots at Nathan, right?
But this segment of the show gives us the freedom to talk about other things and still answer questions as they come in. So before we get started, even though we've already started, Colin,
Oh, like those two weren't complicit?
we have the
Totally
mandatory
complicit,
question,
I admit it.
Yeah.
which is what's making us happy this week? And we're going to start with Colin.
So what's making me happy is Amy has been bailing my ass out for the past several weeks with design work for a coming trade show. Yeah, you're on the spot for that one, Amy. Yep. Reminds me, I need to throw payment your way still. But yes.
List for the brochure.
and I have to give you information so you can finish the brochure. Mind you, I didn't ask for a trifold brochure. I actually didn't ask for a brochure. Amy just went, "Hey, I've got this trifold brochure. Blah 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 blah. I need."
You need one for the trade show.
Yeah, you really do.
Oh,
Glossy.
a brochure was planned. A trifold was. Oh God. I see an Amy husband.
Yeah, it's exciting.
For a moment, though, there was this extreme glare off the head. It was like looking in the mirror. The greatest part is she didn't hear it.
But it'll be on the recording for her to come
Oh, it'll
back.
be on the recording.
All right.
This is why you never ever take off your headset.
Next
Colin
up
interjects random
is Eric.
things.
Well, my entire family was together for Christmas for the first time in I don't know how many years. There was no snarling. There was no fisticuffs. It was a good Christmas. No one stormed out and drove away. So yeah, good Christmas.
That is a good Christmas.
Also, my wife is awesome and gave me the most awesome Christmas gift, which I have to show everyone here.
Ooh.
Shinies.
Nice.
This is the Dungeons and Dragons 40th edition Art and Arcana book, which tells you all about all of the wonderful artwork, which is much more interesting than my face.
Oh, that's really cool.
I need
just-
to get that book.
I just gotta interject real quick. You measure that door frame, Mr. Amy.
No, he's putting in.
He's measuring the door frame. It's
Phone
valid.
because I'm so-
And Nathan's face went a little red at that one.
Oh boy. Okay.
Boy, so that's what they're calling it these days.
Amy, what's making you happy this week? I'm trying. I'm
Sorry.
trying. Twitch chat,
You ever
text
tried to
chat.
compose
I'm trying. Text chat. I'm sorry. I'm trying.
I got a new T-shirt.
Hey,
Yes.
Yes, very nice.
nice.
It was a good Christmas. I got a 10 terabyte backup drive,
Nice.
a new microphone, which is very nice, new headphones, and apparently I taught my husband something he didn't know. It's really loud on the other side of it. You know, I could deal with that. Teaching someone they didn't know before. So, and I took apart my mixer. I found out what was wrong, and now I have to send it into KitchenAid to fix.
I mean, to be fair, the Mythweavers general chat predicted what was wrong.
We have an impressive amount of mechanical knowledge among Mythweaver general chat.
The
No,
engineers tend to run rampant.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Basically.
but none of them realized that the post was too long and was scraping metal shavings off the top of the planetary gear.
No, we definitely predicted gears ate themselves.
No, not the gear. The
Well,
housing,
the shaft?
the shaft, and the housing above the planetary.
Okay, fine, the gearbox ate itself. Close enough.
The gears are all fine.
Things ate themselves. Bad
Sounds
things.
like it came out of alignment, that it should have been lower down and
Yeah, Eric, we can't go straight engineer here. We torture general with that enough.
Okay, fine. This is a free for all.
This is the free for all. All right, and what's making me happy this week is I had an excellent holiday. Mrs. Nate and our roommate has been out of the house for the week, so we have been playing board games, and we got a slew of new RPG books, and we put together Mrs. Nate's box throne, so all of our board games have a home now.
And y'all have been playing the hell out of 7 Days to Die.
Yes, we have.
And they haven't invited me.
Hey,
Poor Colin.
no, you have been busy, supposedly.
Really? Because all I've been doing is playing Astroneer.
Yeah, and what about that little 3D design project I asked you to do?
Ooh.
That's having issues. I blame the models you provided. No, in all seriousness, there's something wonky going on there. I'm still trying to figure out.
Okay.
It is something with the models, but I don't actually blame you.
Well, that's good because I didn't make the models, so.
I blame you for dragging me into it, but I don't blame you for the models. Oh, hey, Nathan?
Uh-huh.
Question from the chat. Chase wants to know if they'll get their ad rating when you finish the rubric.
No, but
Run.
you will be getting
Run.
a gold medal for being Game of the Week.
On the ad.
Yes.
It comes to Nathan signed. It's very shiny.
We don't have that many Patriots to send you a gold medal.
We also don't have badges, which is unfortunate.
I mean, I've been
we
saying for
only don't
years
think
we need
badges.
Mythweaver's swag.
Well, if there was only a director of community engagement,
I love how wide his eyes just got when you said that.
Wait a second. Hold on. I was not aware that my job included swag.
You know, Nathan, I wasn't aware that a chat with the community meant podcast either.
I just...
No, your job does not involve swag. Your job involves doing social media, so I don't have to.
I mean, I could do swag.
No,
Does that
stop
mean
it.
I have
Stop
to do
it.
the swag?
I could, I guess.
Amy is now director of swag.
I'll
If-
take that title.
If only we had a graphic artist and someone skilled in layout. Oh, wait.
I mean, you
We
can
have a
literally...
graphic artist.
There's 1,000...
We have
right?
someone skilled in layout. One's on staff, one does show writing. No, Ruben's the graphic artist.
Right.
I mean, you can literally go
You're the
online
layout person, Amy.
and find an instant, like, custom t-shirt thing. So,
Cafe Press.
yeah, like...
No.
So Chase wants to know, can the badge be traded in for players?
Chase needs
No.
players.
The idea of the badge is to help draw in players. So, kind of?
To be fair, I mean, the idea is to draw in the players at the same time. It's weaving myths. We're not exactly mainstream, even on our own website.
Only we had a director of community engagement.
Oh,
Bridge
ouch.
that gap.
That's a low blow. I'd like to point out Nathan became director of community engagement in the past, 2 weeks.
Yeah. I mean,
So
it's
he's just
he has
starting to have
entirely in
social media.
jest. I'm sure that Nathan will one day make this even more awesome than it already is. The fact that we're sitting here having a chat about gaming was inconceivable, 18, 20 months ago? And then it just happened.
You're welcome.
Oh, no, I blame Nathan for so much, really.
What the hell?
Oh, no.
So
You
we
can't
need
even
a
escape
badge on
this.
Discord that says it's all Nathan's fault.
Oh, God, yes. You're the layout one. Make that happen. So, a little history on how the Mythweavers Discord happened. So, Nathan, hit me up because I'm the admin that apparently isn't the scary one.
Yes,
Go
but
on,
also
argue
no.
this. I was gonna say, oh, no, please argue this, Nathan.
Yes.
Tell me Rodrigo doesn't still intimidate you.
But also no.
So, the way the Discord started, which, I mean, hell, Discord is what we're using right now for the video chat for Weaving Myths. So, this started with Nathan approaching me and saying, hey, so, way back in the day, Mythweavers had the shout box. We had a live text chat. Back in 2006, 2007, live text chat was kind of expensive to run resource-wise on a server. We had to kill it. Now, we had an unofficial IRC for a while, for those of you that remember IRC. And then Nathan approached. God, it's been what? Almost 2 years now, Nathan?
Something like that, yeah.
I think we're coming up on 2 years. Nathan hit me up and said, hey, what do you think about creating an official Mythweavers Discord? Oh, sure, I'm not against it, kind of come up with the general framework. I'll talk to Rodrigo about it. And I talked to Rodrigo about it, and he said, oh, yeah, sure, that's fine. You guys have to run it. I don't have time, which is fair.
Yeah. Accurate.
Yep. So I came back to Nathan and said, yeah, we got the green light. We can make an official Discord, take a little time. We'll set it up. And I swear to God, 10 minutes later, Nathan goes, hey, it's live. We need an announcement thread and notice, please.
I mean, you're not wrong.
At which point, language that is not suited to Mythweavers came out of my mouth. And I still, for some reason, let me make the notice, let me make the announcement thread, and I did it, and then we spent the next week getting flooded with verification requests.
It was awesome.
I think Nathan was drunk or high the entire time. It was not awesome. It was madness. It was
awesome.
It was let's figure out how to run a multi-hundred user server as it happens.
Yeah. And here we
The
go.
whole role system had to be rolled out in retroactively.
Oh god, the
was fun.
roles were rolled out retroactively. It was chaos. It was 3 to 4 months of what do we do now, and it was chaos. Rolling the dice, literally almost. And mind you, I love that it happened. I love that Nathan helped set it up. But oh my god, Nathan is in charge of community development and managing social media more like a punishment. Except Nathan doesn't view it as a punishment.
Yeah.
And then just as soon as we got that all tamped down, he's like, hey, maybe we should do like a podcast or something.
No. He said let's do a live chat with the community.
Yeah, that's right.
Live chat. It was 4 months into my side business. I was working late. Hey Nathan, I'm gonna be late for the little live chat. Oh, okay, we'll just work you into the podcast when you get here. Podcast?
So I mean,
What do you mean podcast, Nathan? And he says, oh, it's a podcast now. Great! We're doing a podcast!
So I'd like to direct your attention to the stream, because this can be a thing.
Except it's gonna look a lot better once Amy gets done with it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I'm just saying, this could totally be a thing.
So, Mythweaver swag is something being worked on.
And we have to have it for the potluck.
It's
Yes, at your house for New Year's.
yeah, okay, whatever.
It might be a little late to get it for New Year's, but
Valentine's?
Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm.
We can bring all our spouses and have an escape room.
Ooh,
But
February.
Mythweaver
That's a
swag
good time.
is something being worked on. We have an
Now?
escape room just down the street. I know, right?
Ooh.
Actually, I think they run like 2 or 3 different themed rooms at once.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm. We've got escape rooms and breweries all over.
Especially
Welcome
when
to
the people from the
Kalamazoo.
zombie
It's
apocalypse
real.
room
Escape
start
room.
eating the people
Yeah.
from the nuclear meltdown room.
But no, so Mythweaver swag is something being discussed that is going to be slowly in development due to other projects.
Guess what just happened with Patreon?
What just happened with Patreon, Nathan?
They partnered with a swag company. So we can
Oh.
offer swag as Patreon rewards.
Ooh. Ideas.
Our design ideator just went into overdrive.
Amy, do you
Yeah, let
want
me
your
know
name
which
to
one.
become blue? Because this is how your name becomes blue.
2 mouse clicks.
She just leaves.
Thanks,
Chase
Lexi.
says,
Thanks.
"Do it."
No. Amy's
Tiffany
not
says-
on the short list for staff
She gets our vote.
yet.
Now you hurt my feelings. Thanks.
Democracy.
Oh no, because right now it's just if you become staff, you have to become a moderator too.
Mm.
Yeah.
We don't want to do that to you. That's
Yeah.
why.
Corporate restructuring is higher on the plan.
So I'll say this
I'm too
on
nice
Weaving
to have
Myths.
not nice names given in my.
I'll say this on
directions,
Weaving Myths. There's a lot of stuff coming.
Thanks, Chase. Thanks.
Very, very big stuff.
Yes.
And Eric doesn't even know it all.
No.
Bigly stuff.
I've gotten roped into enough to know exactly how big the iceberg approximately is.
Amy knows how big the iceberg is. Eric, you have no idea how big the iceberg is.
It's pretty big.
Nathan has no clue. He just has been dealing with me tormenting him for months.
I've given up trying.
No, my throw into the deep end has indicated exactly how much is going on.
How many people can go on video chat at once?
8?
Yeah, I think it's 8.
7 or 8, something like that. Why?
We're gonna have to have the master chat, aren't we?
One moment. Let's see.
Now, if you
Amy.
do Discord Nitro, it's more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that costs money.
Mm-hmm.
Patreon.
Skype. We really have to.
Or
Yeah.
Google Hangouts.
Yeah, that'll work too.
I guess, yeah. Oh, he's pulling up. If he pulls out his toes next, we're.
I mean, I can only think of 7 bodies we need. Amy, we're gonna do that video chat with a few more bodies than 1.
Okay.
It'll be fun.
Okay. I've given up trying to guess.
I just know that my part is already fun.
Oh
And-
god. There's Skunkworks that ties in.
Literally.
And I'd just like to point out, I'll admit Skunkworks exists. I will not tell you who is involved, beyond, obviously, me. And I won't tell you what's involved.
Okay.
I think you've kind of hinted that I'm involved.
Okay, Amy's involved. But Amy doesn't talk.
Much.
To anyone.
Except to Nathan and me.
Oh no, she won't
Our-
tell you guys about
Look
this.
field.
Mostly because now she wants you guys in video when we do talk about this.
It should be interesting.
Oh, it'll be hilarious. We're definitely recording that.
Okay.
Posterity.
All right. I think it's about that time. Before we move on to the end of the show, does anyone have any last-minute questions?
Myth weasels.
Yeah.
All right, last chance for questions.
Unless it's unspeakable, because I do not trust you, mate. And you have earned that lack of trust. In spades.
What do you mean, European or African swallow?
Damn it, you took it before I could get to it.
I should know better than to ask for questions. Okay.
Are you kidding? That's mild. Think of what happens when Chimi is involved.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I mean, actually, we had a good half-hour conversation about types of cheese. Because of a Chimi question.
What's wrong with cheese?
Oh, Nathan was twitching, but the rest of us had a great discussion about different types, aging, smoked, not smoked. It was fantastic. It was a wonderful discussion. I don't remember what episode that was.
Cloth
Was that
wrap.
After Dark?
It got edited
No.
out.
Oh, you monster. Hey, Nathan, by the way, when is the bloopers reel going to happen?
Really, there should be one.
Oh, I just want the David blooper reel.
I'm gonna read this script. So, I'd like to take just a moment to remind everyone that this episode of Weaving Myths is made possible by our Patreon. For those of you that don't know, Patreon is a method for content creators to gain income through the support of those who consume the content. Our Patreon offers a multitude of ways to support the show, and you'll get awesome rewards for signing up under any of the tiers. Contributions start at as little as $1 per month, so it doesn't take much at all to show your support. You can find our Patreon at patreon.com/mythweavers. All contributions to the Patreon go to paying for the online hosting of the show and supporting Mythweavers, the site we are honored to be a part of. Part of the current Mythweavers Storycrafting contest is made possible by Weaving Myths patrons, so some of the prizes available for that are available because of our Patreon. One last thing I should note, Weaving Myths is, always has been, and will always continue to be free, and signing up for the Patreon is never required. Full episodes are always uploaded to SoundCloud within 2 days of the episode being recorded, and all normal episodes will be available for download or streaming free of charge. And before we move on to the story crafting bit, got some shout outs to our patrons. We've got John D, Amanda C, Michael B, Chimmy Changa. Damn it, Chimmy! Claire F, Amy G,
Got him.
and Christopher M.
Oh, good one. Jimmy sees this script and changes it every single time.
Oh, every time.
Okay, so before we wrap up for the evening, there's one last thing we need to talk about, the Mythweaver Storycrafting Contest, which I just mentioned. Entries have officially started and are open until February 16th, so there's plenty of time to enter for that. If you don't know, the Storycrafting Contest is a short story contest where the entrants will be drawing inspiration from the name of a holiday, the Day of Bones. The grand prize is a hardcover copy of the World of Farland RPG book, a signed copy of Night in Silence by, I'm going to butcher this name, Shannon McGuire.
Shannon
McGuire, and a signed copy of a Jim Butcher book. The exact book is to be determined. Runner-ups will be getting $25 gift cards to Drive-Thru RPG, and that reward specifically is provided by our very generous patrons. So,
one modification to the Farland one, it's actually a hardcover book and a PDF copy.
Oh, very nice. Excellent.
Yep. And that was something that Farland actually went in and modified himself.
Okay, awesome. Good. So, thank you everyone so much for joining us today. It's been a blast, and we appreciate all of the comments and questions from the text chat, as always. I'm Nathan. I've been joined by the magnificent Colin.
Nice seeing everyone again.
Amy.
Bye!
And Eric.
So long, and thanks for all the games.
Thanks for listening, and keep on weaving those myths.